Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks again for listening to my podcast. I love connecting with you, and pretty soon we're going to be starting a question and answer podcast so that you can start asking questions and I can answer them and I can talk to you, and it will be great for everybody because people really enjoy hearing not only the questions other people have, but the success stories, the things that they've overcome. It really helps people to understand how these foods work. So I'm looking forward to doing that pretty soon coming up. So a couple other things I want to talk about is I have a class July 13th, 2019 in Carlsbad, California, which is beautiful, which is by the beach. And it's a beautiful building. It's actually a museum, and it's a really nice place called the Green Dragon. And I'd love to see you there. If you're really on the fence about getting started with cultured foods, I really encourage you to come to that because you'll learn to make kefir kombucha, cultured vegetables, sourdough. You're going to make a jar of cultured vegetables to take home with you, and then you'll have a jar that you can reuse the brine from to make another and another and another jar of cultured vegetables. We have a wonderful dinner. It's a really nice dinner. They cater for me, and it's a really, really fun time. It's a great way to just jumpstart yourself and get started. Plus, I get to see you. I get to interact with you, and that really changes everything. Live classes make such a difference for people who are trying to get started in this because they get that human element. And the one thing that I get that comes away from most of my classes is, wow, this isn't as hard as I thought. And it's just because I'm there. I've been doing this for 18 years. And it's so simple. It's so easy. And I make it easy for you. I give you a lot of support, but I also, there's something about that human interaction that really makes a difference. So I encourage you, if you want to, check out my website at culturedfoodlife.com. I'll also put the link below for my class and for all the things that I talk about in this podcast. I really want to help you be successful in making cultured foods. And that's why I do these podcasts. That's why I do weekly blogs. That's why I have videos. I have just books. I mean, everything I can think of to help you make it easy for you. And I have a couple testimonies I want to share with you. I get these types of testimonies all the time, and I love it because, I get them all over the place. I get them in emails, and I also get them on Facebook and YouTube and on my forum and places all over social media. And they're so inspiring to me, and I like sharing them with you because these are real people. And this just happened a few days ago. I got a couple that I wanted to share with you just to encourage you to realize how powerful these microbes that live inside of you are. And this one was on Facebook, and it was from somebody called Tammy Cruz. It was just a few days ago, and I had posted something. I believe it was about kefir. I'm not sure which article I posted, but she wrote in. Somebody from my staff sent me this and said, "This is what Tammy said." She said, "Such timing. For some insane reason, I woke up Wednesday during the evening hours experiencing bladder infection. Oh my, it was so painful. And instead of taking antibiotics, I increased my milk kefir, which I added turmeric, ginger, and a little pepper to. And for those who don't know, pepper helps you absorb the turmeric. So it's kind of an important thing to add when you have turmeric. And she did that 4 times a day, 8 ounces. She had 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut juice every 2 hours, followed by a lot of lemon water and bone broth. And when I drank the milk kefir, I could feel it in my lower abdominal area. 12 hours later, I was cleaning up my kitchen, and today I'm back at work. Kefir is the most wonderful probiotic. I have had not any kidney or gallbladder stones since I started drinking kefir 3 years ago, and I love my milk kefir." And here's another testimony that somebody put. I believe this was either on Instagram or Facebook. I can't remember now. But this is about a dog, and kefir is so wonderful for dogs. I can't encourage you enough. I give it to my dogs all the time because it helps them so much. And this was from Lynn Bonney, and she said, "I fed my little dog on kefir after he was attacked by another dog. The vet said that it was an absolute miracle that he survived. He's still going 5 years later and now 15 years old, and I swear that the kefir brought him back to health." Now, I have heard so many stories of healings from dogs who had kidney failure, who they told them just to take them home and let them rest. They weren't going to make it, and who have come back and lived healthy lives, to my own dogs who have done things like that too, where they've had blood in their urine and then it clears up, and not just on one occasion, but on several occasions. The powerful microbes that are in kefir help to eat the toxic debris that's in the urine, and it really helps the kidneys to function more properly. But I've seen it help dogs with many things. I've seen it help people with so many different things, and not just, I've seen it with kombucha, kefir, cultured vegetables, all of the cultured foods. And I like to share with you some of these stories, just so it's just not me getting out there and telling you the stories that have happened to me. But I have a lot of research now, and I try to do an article and a podcast. I have an article and podcast for everything that I do. I'm trying to get to the point where I have them for everything, so that if you don't want to read, you can listen. And if you don't want to listen on a podcast, you can read, so that it makes it easy for you. Because in this day and age, we're in the age of information. And the more information you have, the better decisions you can make. And, it's really hard to not get the information in this day and age. You can find it. It's at your fingertips. And so that's why I do these podcasts, because I like to listen. I love podcasts. I love YouTube. I love all those things where I can just listen while I'm working. And it has made all the difference in my life. If it weren't for podcasts, YouTube, things like that, I don't know that I would be here, because those things have really helped me grow and to learn, because I could absorb information that otherwise I wouldn't have. And here's the thing. I mean, we all have these marvelous brains. And when you learn something new, if you repeat it, you make a neuron connection in your brain that can, last for your life. When you learn something new, you make new neuron connections. And the more you repeat it, the more that connection stays firm in your brain. And then you carry that information and you can live that information throughout your own life. So that's why I encourage you to try to listen to these weekly, or to find information elsewhere too, that's going to really help you and encourage you to make this a part of your life. Because guys, it has made all the difference in my life. I never in a million years thought that microbes in my jars on my counter would change my life so dramatically, but they did. And it was the answer to my prayers, and it was the answer to my health issues and to my family's health issues. And it was right there. It was easy to do. It was sustainable. These cultures that you use to make these foods, all of them, they reproduce themselves. They can last your lifetime. You can give them away to your friends. It's inexpensive to make. It's sustaining. It is fantastic. And it's good for the planet too. So that's why I'm out here sharing it. I'm kind of the messenger. These foods speak for themselves. Once your body responds to this, then you don't need me anymore. You already have the evidence. Because in the beginning, when I started, everybody told me I was crazy. But I knew these foods had made me well, because my diabetes was gone, my high blood pressure was gone, and I knew that they had changed my life in such a dramatic way that nobody could convince me otherwise, because my body had changed. And I did experiments on myself to stop using them to see what would happen. And a lot of my symptoms would come back. And so I just kept eating them, kept using them. And here I am 18 years later, still doing the same types of things, only better and with a lot more recipes. And I can pass that knowledge on to you. So let's get started with the podcast today. I love talking about microbes and how they can change your home in 24 hours. Not only just your body, but your home. And it's so exciting to me. And when you find the courage and strength to be better in any regard, it helps everybody around you. When you grow, when you get better, when you become well, everybody benefits from that. And it goes for every area of your life, and especially with what you eat. It includes our bacteria and the yeast that live inside of us. And you have trillions of hitchhikers that live in you, on you, and they play a huge role in keeping you healthy. Your home that you live in is covered in your bacteria, and every single room is teeming with your unique bacterial signature. Researchers that were involved in the Home Microbiome Project studied 7 families for 6 weeks across the United States, and this included their pets. When these families moved into new homes, they began to colonize it with their bacteria in just a few minutes. And it completely changed the environment very rapidly, replacing the bacteria that was there with the bacteria that they contained on themselves and their body and their pets. Within 24 hours, the new home was identical to their older home, even though it was very diverse when they first moved in. Your bacteria goes with you everywhere. Everything you do, when you scratch yourself, when you yawn, when you open the kitchen cabinet, when you turn on the TV, you release your bacteria. When you go into a hotel room, it takes no time for you to convert it to your own bacteria, just like your one at home. So people get very fidgety and itchy about hotel rooms, said Jack Gilbert, a microbiologist at the U.S. Department of Energy's Aragon National Laboratory. He said, from his hotel room in South Korea, I felt uncomfortable there. But realistically, my hotel room now looks like my microbiome, and I've wiped out all the previous occupants' microflora in here. Now, it is 99.9% me, which I think is very cool. So wherever I go, wherever you go, you are taking your bacteria with you. And so you don't have to worry about hotel rooms. If you have a healthy microbiome, you're going to flood that room with it. If you have a new home you're moving into, it's going to change to match you, which most people don't know about. But I think that is extraordinarily cool. And it happens in 24 hours. Okay, so what about the bad bugs? And do dogs and cats have different microbes? Okay, so exposing your immune system to many different types of microbes is one way to strengthen your body's ability to fight pathogens and disease. Eating probiotic foods is a fantastic way to build up your microbiome because all of those hundreds of strains of bacteria are going to flood your body and that's going to become their home. And another great way to do this is to get a cat or a dog. Dogs and cats have different types of microbes that help build our microbial world. And one study found that infants who lived among pet dander had lower rates of allergies. Having a dog rapidly supercharges the highway of microbial transmissions in your home, says microbiologist Gilbert. Gilbert was so convinced by the studies that he went and got his family a dog. And I see this all the time. You hear that children who live on farms are healthier, and it's because of the diverse microbiome that they get exposed to, because animals have different microbial micro worlds that they live in that you get exposed to that boost your immune system and helps you to become healthier. When I do cultured food classes, the first thing I do is I have everybody around me shake the hand of the person next to them. Then when they're done shaking everybody's hand, I announce, you just gave that person 8 million of your unique bacteria. And people laugh, but it's true. We all share bacteria with one another. When you shake somebody's hand, when you pass them something, and even more, if you kiss them or hug them, you give them more of your bacteria. And what about the harmful microbes? Researchers in this study found a potential antibiotic-resistant pathogen on the kitchen counter that was found on the hands of a family member, but nobody got sick. Do you remember the study I was talking about earlier where they moved them into new homes? Well, they found this antibiotic-resistant pathogen on the kitchen counter, but they had so much good bacteria, nobody got it. Their immune systems took care of it, and they never knew it, that it was even there. They didn't even know that it was on the counter because their immune systems were boosted. Not boosted because of it, but their immune systems were strong enough that they didn't get it. And this happens all the time. As long as you're relatively healthy, our immune systems keep those pathogens at bay. Destroying them before we have a problem it's really essential to keep your microbiome healthy. Only when your microflora gets out of balance or compromised do these little bugs or pathogens get a foothold and then we get sick. So this is why cultured foods are such a good idea. They will strengthen your army of bacteria. And if you give them lots of prebiotics, which is in fiber, you know how they say fiber is good for you in fruits and vegetables. It's in all kinds of foods. It's not even just fruits and vegetables. It's in certain grains. It's in nuts and seeds. It's even found in honey, and it's found even in milk that these prebiotics in there feed your microbiome very, very rapidly. And when you have a lot of that and you feed your microbiome, they grow, they multiply, they get really strong. And here's the other thing. If you eat a lot of sugar and processed foods, you kill a lot of your microbiome. It makes it weak and makes it compromised. So if you eat this, and everybody knows to eat more fruits and vegetables. That's just a no-brainer. But the reason that they're so good for you is because they feed your microbiome and they keep your immune system strong. And then you become a force to be reckoned with. When people tell me that they're sick and not to get too close to them, I always say, I am not afraid of your cold or flu, because the flu should be afraid of me, because I know how to take care of my body. I know how to strengthen my immune system, and I know how to keep it healthy. And I've even had, instances where, I've eaten some food that they said was contaminated with E. coli, and I never really got anything from it. And I think my body just fought it off. And, I don't know for sure, but everybody else was getting it, and I wasn't. And that gives you a powerful confidence to go through your life knowing that you know how to take care of yourself. And even if you do get something, it's usually short-lived. If you've got a healthy microbiome, your body rapidly, it's kind of cool how your body destroys, any kind of harmful bacteria or viruses and allows you to keep living your life. Your immune system is just such a underrated thing in your life that you probably don't appreciate as much as you should, because it does a miraculous job at keeping you healthy. So, why not change every room you walk into with good bacteria? Why not do that? Why not change your microbiome, just yours? You don't have to change anybody else's, just yours. And you will strengthen it in such a way that every person you come in contact with will be better for being around you. You have 100 trillion helpers everywhere you go that live in and all around you. And these invisible forces can be used for good to change the world. And I don't think, it's crazy to me. People think this is science fiction, but this is really the way that it is. If one person decides to get healthy, it spreads to others. And if it's enough of us do that, change becomes relevant in that good bacteria shifts. We become strong. We could wipe out antibiotic-resistant bugs fast because our own immune systems have the ability to keep us well in all circumstances if you know what you're doing, if you know how to take care of your microbiome. We wouldn't need antibiotics because our bacteria would be strong enough to keep things in balance. And I'm not against antibiotics, okay? I'm not. I think sometimes they are important because sometimes you get infections that you do need to help your body to fight off some bugs. But I think they're overused, and I think that for the most part, we can keep ourselves healthy, and cultured foods are a great way to start. So you got to pick one. Here's the deal. When I first started, I picked kefir. Kefir had 50 plus good bacteria in it, and I started with that. I started with the kefir smoothie every morning. That's the only thing I did. It was super easy to make. I mean, it is kefir. All you're doing is putting a culture in a jar with either milk or non-dairy milk, whichever one you want to use. And I have recipes on my website for, I think, 18 different non-dairy milks. I have it for goat's milk. I have it for cow's milk. I have all different kinds of recipes and ways to do it. But you put that in the jar with the culture. You put a lid on it. You sit it on your counter for 24 hours, and it becomes kefir, which is way easier than making yogurt. And it becomes, so much stronger. Yogurt only has 2 to 7 bacteria strains, where kefir has 50 plus. And so it is a superhuman power food. I mean, it is just so good for you. And so I started making it, and then I would make a smoothie every morning. And then down the road, I started trying to make cultured vegetables, and then I tried kombucha, and all of those different cultured foods and water kefir, they all have different strains of bacteria and good yeast in them too, because we need good yeast too. We forget about that. Most people don't like to talk about yeast because they think it's just immediately their brains go to candida. But there are a lot of good yeast that we need too. So let's pick one, either kefir, kombucha, cultured veggies, or water kefir. Eat them and give them a try. You can buy them. If you're going to buy like kombucha, I recommend GT's. He's one of the only ones. It's called GT's Synergy Kombucha. He's one of the only ones that doesn't pasteurize his kombucha or flash pasteurize it. So his has still got a lot of the good bacteria and yeast in it that you need. Some of the other ones, most of them have been flash pasteurized to keep them from exploding on the in the refrigeration at the stores. And he's done a really good job at preserving that. There are also some good kefirs out there, but then some of them aren't as good as some of the others. So it's some of them don't have as many strains, don't have the 50 plus. So if you're going to have kefir, try to pick a brand and look on the back of the bottle, see how many bacteria they have. But I really encourage you to make kefir. It's super easy, it's inexpensive, and you're going to get way more benefit if you make your own. And if you go to my website, I have all the ways that you can make it. And there's several different ways you can make it. You can use live kefir grains that last forever. You can use the easy kefir powder packages, which are made from live kefir grains, but they're much easier because you don't have to care for grains. And guys, it's really simple to make. And you're going to get a lot of benefits. And then cultured veggies, if you want to try that one first, they have some good ones at the health food stores. But once again, I encourage you to make your own. You're simply cutting up vegetables, placing them in a jar, adding a culture, and letting it ferment for anywhere from 3 to 6 days on your counter. You're going to get billions of probiotics. You're going to place that jar in your refrigerator after the period of fermentation is done. And it'll last months and months and months in your fridge. And you'll always have that in your fridge. It's powerful medicine if you're sick. It's great for you if you're not sick because it helps build your microbiome. And I love the bacteria that's in cultured vegetables. It's powerful. It does a lot for you. And if you're interested, I have all kinds of different recipes for cultured vegetables and ways to make them that are on my website. I think I've got like 89 recipes that you'll love. You'll be able to, especially in the summertime when you have lots of, fresh veggies. It's a great way to do it. Then it preserves it through the winter. It's great. It's a great way to do it. And then you have lots of probiotics when cold or flu season hit, or when it doesn't, when it's not around, it's still a great idea to have them. The old paradigm systems of drugs and surgeries to repair the body, aren't always working nowadays because I think that we've forgotten that we have to take care of the 100 trillion microbes we have. We can't just slap Band-Aids on things. We have to really look within ourselves to see what we're eating that's creating the world and the body that we live in. And when you change that, what you eat, or you strengthen yourself from the inside, and then you become unstoppable. Because when you feel good, you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And believe you me, I'm a testament to that. So if you guys wind up with a website, writing books, and teaching classes on how to ferment things, this is not my fault. It's just because you feel good. So that's what happened to me, because I had no intention of doing any of this, but I felt so good, I wanted to help everybody else. So your trillions of helpers that you have all around you and inside of you, feed them and make them grow. Make friends with those microbes because they were placed inside you guys to keep you well. They're here for a reason. I mean, it's the most dominant thing that you are. More than cells in your body, you are bacteria. And there's a reason for that because it's keeping you well. It's such an ingenious plan. And it's really just time that we had some wisdom about it. In this day and age when antibiotic resistance is growing rapidly, and the new research says probiotics will be the new drugs of the future, I'm thrilled with that. That is so exciting to me. And I have so many recipes. You can buy them, but it's so much better if you make them, and I can help you. We have a lot of support on our website. If you have questions, you can always email us, and you'll feed those little microbial hitchhikers, and then thank them for taking care of you. They were put here to help you, and so don't take them for granted. If you want an easy place to start, I just started with a kefir smoothie, and it was just billions of good bacteria and yeast that really changed my body. I have lots of easy recipes. And if you go to the article that is with this podcast, you'll see those. You'll see an easy recipe to get started with. You'll love the taste. It's so fun to make these foods. And everything we eat makes up the cells of our body. And it makes it such a powerful way to live your life, knowing that, our food is supposed to be fuel for our body, but it also makes the cells of our body, but it also helps to encourage growth of our bacteria. So even though, for instance, when you eat a lot of fiber in nuts and seeds or soluble fiber often is even in liquid juices, it's in the juice of when you juice things. And most people don't think there's fiber in there, but there is. It's soluble fiber that really changes your body and makes you feel so much better because your microbes grow and they change. And that's why juicing has been such a big help to so many people, because it feeds the terrain inside their gut and helps it to change and helps it to be healthy. So I'm going to put some links at the bottom of this in the description, in the bottom, and to help you get started. I'm also going to put my class description on there. So if anybody wants to come to class on July 13th, 2019 in Carlsbad, California, guys, I'd love to meet you. It's my favorite thing to do. It is just a blast to spend a day with you. So have a wonderful week. Thanks for listening, and I hope this helped you. We'll see you next time.